You're watching America's Forum on Newsmax TV. I'm J.D. Hayworth. The Republican National Committee, in a blistering memo, is calling Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid a liar. Kirsten Kukowski, author of this memo, says the Nevada Democrat is having a bad month. She writes that Reid was caught funneling campaign dough to his relatives. His Senate Majority PAC caught lying to voters, and he was caught hypocritically accepting money from people he calls un-American. Joining me now, the author of this blistering memo that you can find at GOP.com, the Deputy Communications Director and National Press Secretary for the Republican National Committee, Kirsten Kukowski. Now, Kirsten, I've been around politics for a while. Sounds to me like this is the latest volley in a midterm election campaign.
Well, it is, and I think what you see here is, obviously all of these, the Democrats who are running in 2014 are going to be tied to President Obama. But ultimately, what we're all trying to do, right, is get Harry Reid to not be majority leader of the Senate anymore. And so when we see all the problems that Harry Reid himself is having, whether it be funneling money to his family or his super PAC, obviously putting out some pretty bad ads against some of our candidates, a lot of the un-American rhetoric that we've been seeing, we really feel like we have an opportunity right now to take it to Harry Reid and really start tying some of these Democrats who are running in November to their boss, to their leader.
So in 2010, House Republicans had great success with Fire Pelosi as Speaker. Are we going to see yet another public campaign demanding a firing, this time fire Reid as Senate Majority Leader in 2014?
Well, the circumstances are obviously very similar, right? In 2010, we were coming off of Obamacare being signed into law, and that's something obviously both Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid had in common and happened under their watch. And so I think in 2010, Nancy Pelosi, we had an opportunity to really to not have her as Speaker anymore. And we were very successful in 2010 in that election. And I think we look now fast forward to 2014 and Harry Reid, and we really feel like we have a good opportunity to take back the Senate and have both a Republican House and a Republican Senate. So that's what we're here to do, and I think you can all follow our hashtag Fire Reid in the same vein.
Now, obviously, your department is press and public relations for a major political party. I realize you're not really in charge of this, but seeing the charges you outlined in your memo yesterday entitled "Nothing's Too Unethical for Harry Reid," the obvious question is this: institutionally, there are some guys who've been fairly successful prosecutors or attorneys general in the United States Senate. I think of John Cornyn of Texas, who just came through a primary, who of course was the attorney general of that state, well versed in courtroom matters. I'm just wondering why no Republican in the Senate has filed ethics charges against Harry Reid. Because if these problems exist, you would think they would want to have extra scrutiny in terms of an ethics investigation.
I don't know the answer to that. I do know that as the Republican National Committee, this is a perfect opportunity for us to raise awareness of these issues. And obviously the senators have their day job, and they're out there trying to put more people back to work and try and fix this madness that is Obamacare. And so I think everyone has a role, and right now this is where the RNC is best served to use our time, and why we're making this such a priority today.
Well, one thing's for sure, in terms of the role of the Republican National Committee, even as there are heated primaries across the country for in gubernatorial races, in Senate races, and of course in congressional races, it would seem, if the goal is to unify Republicans, this notion of firing Harry Reid seems to be a classic that knows no bounds in terms of uniting people across the board in the Republican Party, and I would imagine that's one of the objectives you have at the Republican National Committee.
That's actually how this started. our digital department, which we've actually put a lot of resources into, that's been the latest news over the last year and a half, our digital team, they kind of stumbled upon this in a little way. I mean, they knew strategically that Harry Reid is not popular, similar to how, Nancy Pelosi was not and is not popular. And they started online. They started doing some social media and some graphics using Harry Reid and using the phrase "fire Reid," and it's working. We've had millions and millions of positive feedback on the activity that we've been doing online, and we figured, why not make a statement? Let's have a video. Let's make this a concerted effort to fire Reid. Now that we know that so many Americans and Republicans are so in tune with this messaging already.
And from that note of the desired unanimity and a shared goal in terms of retiring Harry Reid or removing him as Senate Majority Leader, there's another topic we need to get to, and it is one that deals with a primary. Yesterday, newcomer Kurt Clausen won the Republican nomination in that special congressional race in the state of Florida. He is hoping to fill Congressman Trey Radle's seat. Of course, Trey resigned from the Congress in the wake of drug charges. This was a self-funding campaign. Kurt put about $3 million of his own money into it, but interestingly enough, Senate Majority Leader Elizabeth Benequisto was in this race, and she was backed by Sarah Palin. So you had Sarah Palin in behind the Florida Senate Majority Leader, and you had young Mr. Rand Paul, in beside Kurt Clausen. What does that say in terms of these Republicans with national star power, if you will? Is there any conclusion we can draw from this?
I'm just happy to see everyone out there being engaged. And I think it shows you where this party is and the amount of leadership that we have and the candidates we have out there getting into the game. And I think it's a good discussion to have. It's really positive for Americans to see all of our leaders out there engaging in the political discourse. So I think it's actually a great thing. And I'm extremely happy to see all of the engagement across the board.
Kirsten Kukowski, the way I used to put it, in those contested primaries, we come through that and it's like forging steel. We're stronger having gone through the fire. But I appreciate your take on that and your insights on a rather blistering memo sent in the direction of Harry Reid. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Kirsten Kukowski, Assistant Press Secretary for the Republican National Committee. After the break, we'll get your thoughts on today's top stories, and you still have a chance to weigh in. You can tweet us at Newsmax TV, hashtag America's Forum. You can email us, connect@newsmaxtv.com. And of course, there's also Facebook. We're coming back with your comments next.